On a white piece of watercolor paper, use a tracer and a Sharpie to create several circles on your paper. Fill up your paper with as many circles as possible. Use the larger circles first. Try to fit as many as you possibly can without overlapping them. With the spaces that are left behind, we are going to use other shape tracers to fill in. You are going to make sure that you're not drawing on your circles at all. Take a look at this. We do not want to draw this size square. We're going to move to this size, trace around it. Yeah, that's a good fit. We're going to try to get as many different shapes in the empty spaces as possible. Now that I have my paper divided into different shapes, I'm going to do some observational drawing. Observational drawing is when you look at an object and draw it. We will be using shells today. Sometimes artists will try to kind of cut corners and trace around the object. We're not going to do that. You need to have your shell, in this case, sitting beside you, and then you're going to look at it very closely and draw what you see. So I see an angle on that shell. Actually, make that 2 angles and a big curved line on the top. So I'm going to draw that big curved line. Now my shell is much larger than the one I'm looking at, and that's okay. I'm going to look even closer. I see a couple of triangles down at the bottom. Now the details inside. I'm going to draw all of those lines, or many of them at least. I want to keep looking at my object over and over to make sure that I'm not missing anything. Once I'm done with one shell, I'm going to place it back in the table bin so that other people can look at it, and I'll choose a different shell to add into a new circle. Every single shell that I look at, I'm going to truly observe, take a look at it closely, and draw. Now we have our observational drawing done. We're going to move on to using markers. Now, if you want to, you could divide your markers into color theory, so maybe warm colors and cool colors, or maybe you only use the primary colors and make new secondary colors. Whatever markers you choose, you want to make sure that they're nice and juicy, so they have to be newer markers. And you're going to start drawing on the outside of each of your shapes. So this circle, I am using actually 3 colors from the warm color family, and I'm drawing around that one with multiple colors as well as my small shapes that I created throughout my entire composition. Okay, I've filled my entire page with marker, and now I need a watercolor brush and some water. I'm going to take that water and paint on the outside of my shapes. As I'm doing this, you're going to see that the ink from the markers will start to move around and actually mix together. This is called bleeding. The markers are bleeding together. You're going to do this on the outside of every single one of your shapes. You might have noticed that I am going back into that water a lot, making sure that I clean off my brush before I move on to a new section. And there we have it, a bright and beautiful observational drawing.